Hello, trading has closed on the 18th of January, 2023. We always do our disclaimer first. We go over our calls and make some predictions. This is my trading plan for Thursday, January 19th, 2023. Please remember my calls can be wrong and any trade you make should be at your own risk. Look for the pattern with the early high, which is this. Tends to be a bearish day with a low in the final hour, and that's what we got. And tomorrow's pattern also should have the early high. We had a target 4,891. I was pretty negative and thought that might not print, but it did print, and we have resistance over the target. We also get to cross an old target off the list, 39.8125. That printed here. Usually there is support at that level, but there really wasn't today. We still have these lower targets, and they should print at some time. This is a review of what we said. Thought it was a reasonable place. Yesterday's high was for a rally to end and a big drop to begin. So far, at least, that's how it's playing out as this high has held. During the day, MEJT said ultimately lower prices would print. It turned out to be an understatement. It also said this rally was a false move, and prices have already retraced. This late break is kind of suspicious. I think it forms a wall into the close. Walls are signs of capitulation. Capitulation doesn't have to be over, but we had held this midday low for hours, and really with just about half an hour left to trade, there was unrestrained selling into the close. Often that means people have given up. Specialists are forced to take the other side of the trade. Doesn't have to move up, but if that's what happened here, you'll gap up smartly tomorrow. And if we gap over these highs, a large portion of this decline can retrace because there's strong support right at this low. This line's the 50-day moving average. That's support. This purple line is a TDST line right here from time to mark. So we have such strong drop into but not through support. Usually that means you have to gap under it or else the support wins. Well, here's a daily chart. We saw the junction point of all these trend lines here. It's a typical place for moves to end. We now have a slanting trend line, which was broken in a straight line. I have a rule that these things retrace usually to this trend line, or at least to the point to which they broke down. Frankly, it seems kind of hard to believe after a drop like this, and I'm not claiming it works every time, but that's the rule, and even though I'm not going to bet any money on it, we just have to keep it in mind that these things usually aren't for keeps, and even if they don't retrace immediately, and even if they go lower first, there's a good chance we see this line again. Well, here's the count, and if you draw this trend line here, and this trend line here, they meet right at today's low and right at the 50-day moving average. So you've got very strong support right at this low. Now, support doesn't have to hold, but if you don't gap under this low, I think it will hold. And whether or not it gaps under the low, I can't really say, because I think we've seen the end of this wave B, and we should be in wave C with much lower targets, because A was 300 plus handles, and C should be about the same. So we're talking going down to 3,700. But that doesn't mean we have to go down in a straight line, and doesn't mean we have to drop tomorrow. Now, if we gap under this, fine. I mean, that's a break of major support, and we can just keep on dropping and get the move like this. But until that breaks, we're at support, and we won't know if it breaks till tomorrow. Well, I think we've completed A, and that's B. Why this did that to me, I don't know. I think that's B. The fibs all work. Let's look at this here. Well, I can count it as 5 waves down. I'm certain it's not the only count, but it doesn't break any rules. So you've got 5 waves down to a level of support and the wall into the close. Nothing says we can't gap up tomorrow. Doesn't mean we will. We could just keep on dropping. But it's not the kind of thing where I care to risk money overnight, because support can hold even though it doesn't have to. So if we gap down here, we've broken support, but if support holds, we could retrace a good amount of today's drop, because this would be a wave 1 of C, and often wave 2 can retrace a good portion of wave 1. That we're not going to know until we see how we open tomorrow. Thursday's pattern is the early high. We could still gap down. Today's steep decline appears to be the start of wave C of 2 down, which would be the final drop before a big rally begins, if my count's correct. The drop needs confirmation by trading under today's close by 1 cent. It's entirely possible, but it's not a given. There's support at the low of day from trend lines, a TDST line, 50-day moving average, and the wave count. The late drop to new lows came late and formed a wall into the close, which is a sign of capitulation. Now, futures are down as I write this, but often the pattern gaps up when the market reopens. I believe any rally here should be considered counter-trend, as the pattern should take us at least to 3,700. It would be ideal for the pairs if we were to gap down tomorrow morning. If we gap down tomorrow morning, I don't have anything that says we have to recover. And that's possible, but we can't rule out gapping up and retracing a good portion of today's drop first. Therefore, the open's critical. I have some major league timing come in over the next few days. So if we rally into the weekend, Thursday or Friday, then that would be wave 2, and then have wave 3 down next week. It wouldn't surprise me, at least it's possible. So we have support here. The issue is, will support hold or will it break? Tomorrow's pattern has the early high. If we gap down, it can keep dropping, but there's a real chance we gap up and retrace a large portion of this drop. We won't know till we see how we open tomorrow, and that's today's call.